Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Dad Does Dinner. I'm Chase. Behind the camera today I got my number one son Sawyer. Sawyer, say hello to both my viewers.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're glad you're here today. We're gonna make some spiced chicken and some coconut curried rice. We're gonna start with a spatchcocked chicken. That means I took the backbone out of it and now I have it nice and flat, and this way it'll cook evenly. All right, we're gonna start by toasting some spices for our compound butter that we're gonna use to season the chicken. In here I've got about a tablespoon of curry, half teaspoon each of cayenne pepper, cinnamon, turmeric, and pepper, and about a teaspoon of cumin. Turn your heat on to about medium low. What you wanna do, you wanna heat it up until it just starts to become fragrant. What this does is really intensifies the flavors of the spices. Just when it starts to become fragrant, then it's ready. Don't overdo it or all your spices will become bitter. All right, this has been going for about 2.5 minutes and it's really starting to smell good. Now I'm gonna add these to a stick of softened butter. Also to the butter, I'm gonna add about a half teaspoon of fresh thyme, 2 large cloves of pressed garlic. I'm gonna use about half of this ginger in the chicken and half in the rice. So about 3/4 of a teaspoon of ginger. Add a little bit of parsley, not so much for flavor, but to make it look like I know what I'm doing. And then a good bit of salt. Probably about 1.5 teaspoons here. Remember, chicken can take a lot of seasoning. And the butter that I use, it's also salted butter. Then we just mix this up. You may notice I'm not wearing my wedding ring today. No, it's not because my wife left me. It's because I'm gonna be stuffing this compound butter into this chicken and it gets kind of messy. Once it looks like all the spices have been worked into the butter, you're gonna take the butter and you're gonna put it under the skin of the chicken. So I got my chicken ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and run my fingers up here and make sure that the skin is separated from the meat. All right, and then you just start filling it up, okay? You want this on the underneath the skin, so as it cooks, it really works its way into the meat and makes for a really flavorful chicken. If you put a lot of butter on the outside of the skin, you'll end up burning it. So we're gonna work this all the way into the chicken. All right, so I got my compound butter stuffed under the skin, all over the chicken. Make sure especially you get down under the legs and down into the thighs. If you want to go ahead and do this the night before, that would be great. The longer this can sit, the more that meat has a chance to absorb the flavor. However, doing it right before, you'll still have a great tasting bird. Now we're still living in these crazy times where we are kind of isolated from one another, not doing a whole lot of socializing these days. I'd like to give a shout out to all our first responders, our medical personnel, and all of those people who are working to keep those grocery stores stocked for us right now. Thank you all. I'd also like to give a shout out to Mike and the gang out at One Arm Brewing Barbecue in San Angelo, Texas. Hey Mike, what y'all got going on?
Hey, how's it going? Mike from One Arm Brewing here. We got a special coming up. Video will probably post tomorrow, but it's gonna be good. You're not going to want to miss it. What do you get when you combine some chickens, some cans of beer, a little salt and pepper, and some of One Arm's own glorious barbecue rub? That's what you're going to get. And don't forget, every time you eat at One Arm Brewing and Barbecue, get our endless sausage spread. Tomorrow we're going to be going with Opa's chicken sausages, with a little bit of poblano and Monterey Jack and Hope the world is treating you okay. Stay tuned for this awesome cook because it's going to be really, really good. We'll see you soon.
Man, that sounds really good. Remember, One Arm Brewing Barbecue, home of the all-you-can-eat endless sausage platter. All right, let's get started on our rice. Okay, I got my veggies going for the coconut curried rice that my wife also calls confetti rice. You dice up all your vegetables nice at the same size. You got lots of different colors in here. It kind of looks like confetti. We started with about 1.5 tablespoons of butter, along with about 1/2 tablespoon of olive oil. And then I added to this onions, a bell pepper, stalk of celery, a carrot, the stalk from the crown of broccoli. Because while you're sauteing vegetables, you always want to add a little bit of salt. It brings out the sweetness of the vegetables. And we just want to get this to start to sweat before we add the rest of our ingredients. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add the spices. In here, I got a healthy tablespoon of curry powder, a pinch of salt and pepper, half teaspoon of turmeric, and about a half teaspoon of cinnamon. Just put those in. Okay. I had 2 large cloves of garlic that I chopped up. Those go in. That's probably about a tablespoon of garlic. All right. We're going to put the other teaspoon of ginger in this. I'll let that go a little bit. All right. Look how all that's coming together nicely. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my rice. This is a 1.5 cups of brown jasmine rice. Really, any type of rice that you like will work in this dish. So we're going to let that go in. So I'm going to get that mixed up nicely. We're going to let that go for a couple of minutes. And I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit. And I want that rice to toast a little bit. And that'll give it a more nutty flavor. Okay, this has become really fragrant. All right, so now I'm going to add my liquid. So in here I've got just under 4 cups of liquid. It's half coconut milk and half turkey broth. It's some homemade turkey broth that we had. Remember, whenever your recipe calls for water, use broth instead and you'll get bigger flavor out of it. If you don't have fresh homemade broth, that's fine. A boxed broth will work. Just get whatever you like. Chicken broth obviously will work well in this dish. I'm going to get this going, and just when it starts to simmer, I'm going to add my broccoli. But look at that color. Doesn't that look good? Now really into this, you can add anything you want. Some toasted pine nuts would be really good. Some golden raisins would also be good. I'm always changing up what I'm doing with my rice. Have some fun with it. All right, my liquid's just starting to simmer. So I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm going to add my broccoli. Now I put my chicken on a baker's rack. So I'm going to lay this over my skillet. If you don't have a skillet big enough, you can also use a 9x13 pan, and that will work very well. Now we're going to put this into a 350-degree oven. You can generally figure about 15 to 20 minutes per pound. This is a 6-pound chicken, and it's going to take somewhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours. And I'm going to cook this chicken to about 155 degrees, take it out of the oven, let it rest, cover it, and as it's covered and resting, that temperature will come up to about 170, 172, which will be just perfect for your chicken. Now you'll notice in the bottom rack, I did put a pan just in case there's any drippage, okay? So we're gonna let that go. Note that the liquid I put in was just a little bit more than what the recipe on the rice bag called for. Because normally you cover that up and you cook your rice. So this is cooking uncovered. You're gonna have some evaporation of liquid. As this is cooking, I'm gonna constantly monitor and check that liquid and make sure that it doesn't get too low, all right? But the great thing about that is as that evaporation's happening, it's bathing your chicken in a steam bath of turkey broth and coconut milk. And on the other hand, that chicken drippings are dripping down right into the rice, and it makes for a great combination. I'll see you in a little bit. All right, our temperature has come up to 155. As it was cooking, I did check the liquid level in the rice and everything was going good. I didn't have to add any. Remember, all those vegetables we added also adds liquid to the rice. Oh, look at that. Golden brown and delicious. All right, I want to leave my temperature probe into the chicken right now. And I want to cover this pretty well with foil. All right, we're nicely covered. That temperature is going to continue to rise, and we're going to check it in about 20 minutes. We're looking for about 165 to 170. Once it hits that, we'll cut it up. It'll be ready to serve. These are crazy times we're living in. Anxiety's running high. Think about other people right now. Remember to do something kind for somebody else. You know, Mr. Rogers, his mom told him, when things are going crazy in the world, look for the people who are helping others. So what can you do to help somebody else today? All right, our chicken temperature is steadily rising. We're at about 163 right now. And now we're gonna fluff the rice and check it for seasoning. Oh, that was good. The seasoning's good. I think you could use a little sweetness. So I'm gonna add some of our good local honey. So we're just gonna give it a little drizzle. The sweetness of the honey is really gonna make that coconut milk pop. Probably adding about a teaspoon and a half of honey here. This is from our good friend Kelly. She makes this honey. The Beach Armor's honey. It's really good stuff. And we'll let that sit for another 10 minutes while we're waiting on our chicken. I'm gonna serve this with a bagged sweet Thai salad. I think that'll go really well with this. I've become a big fan of these bagged salads. All right, we came up to 170, so now I'm gonna unwrap it and carve it up. For cutting up a chicken, I like to use a mezzaluna. Mezzaluna means half moon in Italian. I saw this being used at a pizza parlor one time, and so I picked one up. I've also found it's great for cutting up chicken. Now you can get these pretty cheap on Amazon, and when I say pretty cheap, I don't mean pretty cheap for a big TV star like me. I mean you can get it for around $15. All right, here we go. Cuts right through. And then I go for the thighs. I like to keep the leg and thigh together. All right, let's give it a taste. That is so good. The chicken is tender and juicy. It's full of flavor. That curry really pops in your mouth. I'll take some of the rice. Remember, we added just a little bit of honey to the rice at the end. That honey really brought out the sweetness of the coconut. Very tasty. So there you go. Some spiced chicken with some confetti curried coconut rice. Now y'all be good out there, and remember, you can't spell coronavirus without anus. Happy eating.